Hey, welcome back to Vida for Sustainable Sailing.
I've just applied screen covers to all of our screens on our our replacement GoPro. So I'm hoping that the picture quality is excellent.
And I've just taken the Dremel to the medium mod for the GoPro so that we've got a DJI compatible magnetic mount, good grief, that's a mouthful, fitted to the bottom of the GoPro, so it should be much quicker to take on and off different tripods, etc.
So hopefully that will result in more footage and more videos.
Much easier footage. Talking of easy things, what are you doing today?
Easy. Right, well, we've got 2 coats of primer on all this area in the galley. And we're just using kitchen paint, house paint. So I'm going to apply some top coats. I'm going to apply a pale colour on most of it. And then where you see the wood strips, I'm going to apply a slightly darker, but still quite pale, bluish tone. So we'll see how that works out. And that you can see, you might remember from did we have it in a previous video, is the insulation. And we're just painting on top of it XPS foam. Pass you over to Dave.
Oops, right. While Jane's doing that, I'm going to be outside. It's a sunny day. How about that? Sunny day in Beaumaris, almost unheard of. And we've got a few places where we don't exactly know where it's coming from, but we have some leaks. We think it's from some of the holes that we've got temporary filler in. So we're just going to properly fill those. We don't need these. That was a cleat that we're replacing. That was the diagonal for the push pit. Well, we're replacing that. So I'm just going to properly drill out these and fill them just to be sure we kind of get rid of all the places that water might be coming in. We've hot glued covers on these ones, but it could still be leaking. Okay, I'm in the aft cabin to show you where I've been dealing with these leaks. You can see these are from an old cleat. These 3 are from the leg of the push bit. And there's a little bit of black on the plywood here. This, if you remember, a long time ago, we fitted a full length plywood backing plate under the side deck with then 2 large FR4 backing plates. That's forward one has got 2 places where the Dyneema chain plates come through. This one for the backstay for the main mast. I've drilled the holes through and used a stepper drill bit to make them so they're hourglass shaped. So wider at the bottom, wider at the top. And now I'm going to put some thing on the bottom with some hot glue so we can pour thickened epoxy in from above, and those will be beautifully sealed. And because of the hourglass shape, the thickened epoxy is very strong, can't be pushed out. There definitely was some water that had come through, and we had the XPS insulation under there, and that it had run along the stringer and eventually made its way down there, which is just aft of the thrust bearing, and we keep seeing water appearing there. We were very bad. Do not follow our example. We were very naughty, and we had used silicone just to temporarily seal them up. We have learnt our lesson. We don't use it anymore, and I've managed to hopefully clear it all off the area. We will have to very thoroughly de-siliconize, which we know is very difficult, our side decks before we end up painting them in quite a long time from now. Okay, let's stick something on underneath to make sure that the epoxy doesn't run all the way through. So it's Saturday the 20th of April. Happy birthday to our son Peter, 30 today. And today Jay's been doing some more painting.
Yes, because yesterday I did 2 coats of this B&Q white with a hint of violet, which is called Whistler for some reason. And it takes 2 to 4 hours between coats. So I got up a bit earlier today to start doing the contrast, which is more of a blue, and it's called Monaco. And I got 1 coat of that on now. I'm planning to do a second coat later.
And just to be clear, the bit that we've painted in the contrast colour is the plywood that clamps the insulation in place. So the Whistler is the insulation, and on this side the bulkhead,
Yes.
some fiberglass, and then we've got the Monaco highlight, because we're doing a really attractive. Aladino would be amazed.
Special quality job by our standards. I used the other end of the stick to stir the paint this morning, so I wouldn't mix the colours. I'm really going for it this time.
Okay. So I've just taken the temporary backing plates off the places where we were filling holes in the deck yesterday. So that epoxy has all cured. Let's go outside. I can show you. We're not at all worried that it's not flat, because the whole deck has, as you can see, it's a right mess, our deck. So it will be ground down, and we will be putting new paint on the deck eventually. So that's 4, 7, 8, 12, 15 holes filled in the deck. And now today I'm working on this stanchion base next. So what I've got is, there's the original stanchion base. We've already filled the old bolt holes with thickened epoxy, having drilled them out nicely. That's what's going to sit on there, and that hole was drilled with a 27mm Forstner bit. So I'm going to put the drill bit through there to mark the centre, but the hole through here is going to be drilled with a 32mm Forstner bit, so that when the carbon fibre tube drops through the deck, there'll be more space for thickened epoxy to hold it in. So that's my job today. We're going to do this first stanchion base as a test. All right, we have the first dry fitted stanchion. So this is the drop-on tube. It will be through bolted down there. If I just lift that off, this is the 250mm tube, and it has about 60mm buried in the FR4 and the deck. So if I just pull that out, it's buried from about there. Tight hole, oh, there it goes, rolling down deck. Tight hole in this so that it's held firm and doesn't wobble around, and then a looser hole here so that we get lots of thickened epoxy in. And if Jane just passes that back to me, we're going to put some holes, a couple of holes through this tube where it's buried, so that once it's buried in thickened epoxy there, we can pour thickened epoxy down the inside of it, and there will be a full mechanical chemical bond of the thickened epoxy through those holes, which should really hold it in place. We're not just relying on epoxy gripping the carbon fibre. So we're going to hot glue a plate underneath so that we can fill with thickened epoxy, get this in, and then the plate goes on top, and that's the rounded, routed out bit here, so that when that drops on there, there's lots of thickened epoxy everywhere holding it all in place. Here is the galley after Jane's beautifully painted it and removed the tape. We'll probably be putting more coats on, but most of this is going to be hidden. So now we're working at the worktop, which is supported on those two sides, but we're just sorting out this end here. This is where the gimbaled box for the induction hob on top and the microwave underneath will go and will swing. and we've been debating for a very long time what to do with this bit of worktop, or particularly what to do with the storage that's underneath here that goes to the bottom of the sink, because you can't reach under here and put things up onto it very easily. And we thought about doing cutout in the top here, but we just had a complete rethink. And so what we're now planning is to cut that worktop off there, and then put a new cupboard front, build a cupboard that basically goes right the way up to where our insulation will be on the hull. So kind of about there as a cupboard door here, and use this piece of worktop as the shelf at the level of the bottom of the sink. So at about that level, you reach in through the cupboard door here and it drops down, so you've got all access to all this storage area here. And there will be a fiddle going here. It's going to be standing up quite high for high fiddles and going down to the bottom of the sinks, and that fiddle coming here will then come up and be the side of that cupboard. All of that whole area will be boxed in.
Just to remind people about the
Just steering. Okay, so this is the gearbox, well, two gearboxes, 1 and 2 for, oops, don't turn the wheel, for the boat steering. We will, within this cupboard, cover those up in some clever way that will avoid problems. But we do need to make sure, unlike how the boat was when we bought her, we do need to make sure we can check those bolts, because all 4 bolts had fallen off holding that on, and it was all hidden inside permanent cupboards that were glued and screwed and varnished, and it was a nightmare. I'm gonna cut this now, start putting the battens to put this in as a shelf, which will give extra support to this piece here, and we will be well on the way to having our galley back again.
Yay!
Okay, excuse the hissing noise, dinner is on in the pressure cooker. We've made some progress. This is dry fit of the fiddle over here. We're going to put some batten on it so you can reach over and get a good grip, and it's that deep so that it hides the depth of the sinks. Everything under there can be storage, and we now have a shelf in at the bottom there. Again, that shelf is level with the bottom of the sinks, so this is mocking up roughly. We will have this boxed in here, a front opening here, and it will be a smooth connection with these cabin sides once the insulation is on them. So that will be smooth, opening here into that large locker. Got loads more building to do. We haven't got an end to this yet. Nothing is fixed in finally. A little bit more work to do so this fits properly. But we'll have
it away then, so I can show you what it looks like. And the cooker is going in that space there.
And this is a worktop here.
More
Can you see?
worktop.
Worktop there when we put the galley extension back.